Welcome to our community. Susie Thomas with you this morning, and we welcome Jim Molnar from JRC, formerly the Coleman Center. Good morning.
Good morning. How are you, Susie?
I'm doing well. Rebranding's always tricky.
Yes, it is.
And when you go to initials, explain the move. JRC, I know you're kind of new with JRC.
Right,
Do you know what was the thinking behind it of making it a change?
Yes, we have Coleman Behavioral Health, which is, of course, all through Stark County, but originally from Kent. Then we had J.R. Coleman, which was the Coleman Center. And J.R. Coleman basically has an adult day center and a learning center. And the learning center incorporates both the before and after school program for school-age kids. And then they have what I call a day-long preschool program. But that also incorporates everything from toddlers up to preschoolers.
Wow.
So it's kind of all-encompassing, and we actually moved our adult day center into one of the 3 ballrooms at Myers Lake.
Oh.
And we're actually looking to expand and open up a second learning center there.
Very
At present, we have about 140 kids that are in the program on 14th Street. In our learning center.
Very cool. And how many senior citizens do you
We have
serve?
about 40 a day.
Oh, wow.
And we'd like to increase that to at least double that at the Myers Lake. We call it the Myers Lake campus. And it really does serve everybody who we say we serve the seniors as well as the caregivers, because it's a respite for the caregivers. It can be anything from 1 day a week, a half a day a week, to all 5 days. And that allows the caregivers to have some time on their own. Mm-hmm. And we serve just people who need some time away, and as well as people in the early stages of dementia. We have everything from a memory room to even the tablecloths are lime green, because that's the last color that people with dementia can identify with.
Really?
Right.
Any idea why?
It's something just with the chemistry of the brain related to the eyes and all that kind of thing. So it really is the last color that they can see. So all of the tablecloths are lime green, and then, of course, we have white plates and silverware and that kind of thing.
And I'm thinking with many people in that age group that you're serving, that Myers Lake Ballroom itself might trigger a memory, because so many proms were held there back when these folks would have been going to prom.
That's right. And it's every age group we have people there that are in their late or early 50s, all the way up to, I believe, 92 years old.
Really?
Yeah, so, and we also have an intergenerational program, which is one thing I'm really excited about. Mm-hmm. We have our learning center toddlers and, preschoolers come over 4 times a month, one day a week, and get together with the seniors.
Oh, they must all love that.
Oh, my God. It is so wonderful because, so many kids today, they need that warmth and they need that calmness that seniors provide. Mm-hmm. And for the seniors, it creates some vitality and some, youthful
little
thinking
life
outside that box that the toddlers bring to them.
Oh, my goodness. That's got to be just such a very neat event. They do this how many times a week?
Once a week.
Once a week.
Once a week, so 4 times a month.
So you don't wear anybody out?
No, but I have a great story I want to share with someone who's in their early stages of dementia, and she had not talked an entire sentence for over 2 years. And she got together once a week with her favorite little preschooler, and the preschooler was trying to identify colors, and apparently after a while it was just gnawing on the senior, and she finally said, "What color is that?" And everybody
That's
just
a sentence.
turned around, and it was an entire sentence that she had spoken.
Wow. Yeah. So it took a preschooler frustrating someone to the point that they had to speak, but success.
Right. Exactly.
Oh, isn't that so very cool?
Yeah.
What is your position there exactly, Jim?
I'm the development director. So it encompasses everything from community awareness to looking for donors and sponsors for everything from, we have a Women in History, a luncheon that's in March. And that's another thing that really brought me on board, because my father died when I was in my teens, and this was in the early 70s, and I saw how my mother struggled. And when I saw this come about with the Women in History and how they really share some light on good things that women have done, I just couldn't pass up the opportunity to become a part of it.
That's so very cool. I always love that event,
Yep.
and how they recognize so many local women who've made such a significant impact. And I'm thinking Renee Powell was honored one time. When you think of her with with carrying on the legacy of her father and the golf course, and then herself becoming, just a great golf champion, and what she continues to do. She's just one. But I love the fact that they do honor and recognize somebody who's done something locally. It's very exciting. So hats off to you for that one.
Why, thank you.
But all of these programs are so cool. I wrote down Memory Room. I love that idea. What takes place in there? And is there something that caregivers who are at home with someone, perhaps, that's going through maybe early stages of dementia, might be able to set up in their own home? What do you do in a memory room?
We actually have everything from a clothes basket of clothes that a lot of the people go in there, especially the ladies, and they'll just fold clothes. They'll fold clothes.
I'm just so ingrained in you to sit down and just start folding when you get in front of a basket of towels.
Right, just neating things up.
Yes.
And then we actually have a crib with a baby doll in it. But we also have old tapes of everything from, Blue Eyes to some of the other crooners from that era. And we also have a workbench that has some tools for the men that like to come in there. And we have fish that they can sprinkle some food to. Just little things like that. We have everything from a rocking chair to a sofa. And it's a quiet room. The rest of the room is actually pretty open. We have a JRC bistro, which to me, when you walk in around lunchtime, it does remind you of a soda jerk kind of situation from the 1950s.
So neat.
Because it used to be a bar, but it's not anymore.
Not now.
No. It's everything from lunch food, and they offer actually breakfast and lunch as well as a snack. So most of those rooms are wide open. We have bowling. We have large print books that are circulated through the Stark County District Library. And then we have a craft area, but it's all open. They're like half walls that you can get from one place to the other.
So people can just go and do whatever they feel like that day.
Right, and they can feel like they can get away, but there's still an eye view of everybody else.
Right.
Now, the memory room is a room off by itself, and that's a lot quieter. Not that the big room is boisterous or anything like that, but there's a lot of activity that's going on a daily basis.
You mentioned music. Is there something about music that triggers memories or brings us back into cognizance when we hear it?
I think what I've learned, because I'm also involved in the Trauma and Resiliency Initiative, is that the repetitiveness, that's something that is expected. The one thing the mind cannot comprehend is the unknown. So when you you hear something and you don't know what it is, you walk into a dark room and you don't know anything, your brain can't deal with that.
Sure.
So anything where there's a repetition to it, for instance, like seeing a basket of clothes that needed to be folded.
You would not even think twice. You just sit down and start to do it.
Exactly. And that almost like a muscle memory of the brain where, you almost know if you put your foot on one step in your house, you know where the next step is. All that plays a part. And so music brings back the good memories. And we tend actually to remember the good memories more than we do the bad.
Well, that's encouraging.
Yeah. The situation is we are always on alert to be protective. So our core brain goes back to the flight and the freeze situation and the fight. And once that's taken care of, then we tend to open up our brains to things that are happier. And so and the quicker that happens, the better off you are. So that's where, again, I think music plays a part. It's repetitive. It brings back good memories. You know you're safe, and it's something from the past.
Is there something to be said for always trying to learn something new, though, to try and keep our brains healthy? Does that have anything to do with brain health?
I think so, yes. Yeah. I think anytime we can, and that's where the toddlers and the preschoolers come in.
Sure.
It's that thinking just a little bit outside the box. I always tell people, especially teenagers, life isn't lived in leaps and bounds, it's nudges.
Oh, that's good.
And we nudge one way, and if we like it, we keep nudging. But with seniors and anyone, the whole situation is that you move gently one way or the other, and from that you can find something new. You can learn something new. You can pass something along. A lot of times, just like the senior and the preschooler, it was helping the senior not so much learn new colors, but new ways of getting the youngster to see the new colors.
Right.
And like, oh, red, what do you see when you walk out in the street? Oh, I see a stop sign. And what does stop mean? So she's learning how to communicate, again, with someone on a different level, which was someone who's a lot younger.
So interesting, because at one point, somebody can see all those colors and is just trying to learn what to call each one. Right. And then you have another person who, at that point, might only be seeing one color.
Right.
And so they are trying to see other colors. So you have each of them with a different skill set coming together at different ages.
Right.
What a brilliant plan. That's just so good.
And to me, the best thing you said was the coming together. Because we are in a world where, we can't, proverbially, there's no wild, wild west anymore. We all have to play in the sandbox together. And yet at the same time, we struggle sometimes with people of another generation or another race. And I think the best thing to do is communicate, get people together. I mean, it's wonderful to see these seniors with some youngsters who they can appreciate, and the youngsters who find some people that are older that they maybe have never experienced hearing stories about, or the gentleness or the calmness.
Well, and in this day and age where you have so many people who've had to move out of town to follow a job or whatever, a lot of children don't have their grandparents in town with them, so this provides a grandparent to that child. And it is wonderful to see. I'm all about the influence of the other older generations and what that brings to youngsters. I know we were so blessed to have both my husband's parents and my parents in town with our two boys their entire childhood. Our youngest spent his 21st birthday with all four grandparents. I know how rare that is.
It is.
And the influence that they had was just really very special.
Yes.
Very special.
Yes, it is.
So it is cool. If they're not in town, then and my gosh, the older people would love having those little ones around. Just bring the littles.
And the intergenerational program is a perfect way, because these seniors and these youngsters now, they can relate to each other.
Yeah, very, very cool. We were going to be talking about youth homelessness. So how does that fit in with what you're doing with JRC?
Well, everything is creating a foundation, and the better foundation you have and the more resources you have available to you, the less I think you feel alone. And I think especially with youth homelessness, there's a situation where they think that nobody's out there, there's no resources for them, and there's no place to go and anybody to care. I in my own way, I kind of like the year-long school, because there's this transition between this almost like this gully between school and what happens outside of school. And if we can kind of blur those lines and make youngsters feel as though there's some things that you can learn in school and then transfer that outside, or make school available more year-round, I think the more comfortable people are. Go ahead.
Well, I was just going to say, any child who just happened to hear that because they're on break, or any teacher who is on break, is just giving you so many boo. I can hear it going. Isn't that why people major in education? Because it's the three best things about teaching: June, July, and August.
I think probably some of them, but most of them that I know, they spend most of their time during those months doing outside activities, volunteer work with kids.
That is true. And now we have, unfortunately, with hunger and food insecurity, you are concerned about children who are on the free lunch programs and breakfast programs at school, what are they getting in June, July, and August? So that kind of comes into play as well. I'm going to talk more about this. We're with Jim Molnar. He's with JRC. Got a few words of encouragement, I think, from our sponsors first, but we'll be back after these words. You're listening to Our Community.